Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna. So today we are going to read from the first canto, 9th chapter, 13th verse. Samstite tirte pandau, tirate pandau, pritha bala prajavaduhu, yusmat krite bahun kleshan, prapta lok prapta tokavati muhu. Samstite tirate pandau pritha bala prajavaduhu yusmat krite bahun kleshan prapta to kavati muhu. Mataji's. Word-to-word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Samstite, general. Pandau, Pandu. Pritha, Kunti. Bala Praja, having young children. Vaduhu, my daughter-in-law. Yusmat Krite, on your account. Bahun multifarious. Kleshan afflictions. Prapta underwent. Tokavati, in spite of having grown up boys. Muhu, constantly. Translation: as far my daughter-in-law Kunti is concerned, upon the great General Pandu's death, she became a widow with many children, and therefore she suffered greatly. And when you were grown up, she suffered a great deal also because of your actions. Purport: the sufferings of Kunti Devi are doubly lamented. She suffered greatly because of early widowhood and to get her minor children brought up in the royal family. And when her children were grown up, she continued to suffer because of her son's actions. So her sufferings continued. This means that she was destined to suffer by providence, and this one has to tolerate without being disturbed. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratashe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Bhanu Sate Devi Pranamami Hari Priyam Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindurba evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, first I would like to seek the blessings of all the senior Vaishnavas and the devotees who are present here. It's a very humbling experience to come and sit on the Vyasasana and speak something on this exalted subject matter of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. But nevertheless, for my purification of heart, for the glorification of Lord, and for the pleasure of all the devotees who are sitting here, I will try to make an attempt to try to discuss something on Srimad-Bhagavatam. So Srimad-Bhagavatam quotes, there's a very beautiful verse which says, Yasyam Vaishruyamananam Krishna Parama Purushe Bhaktir Utpadyate Pumsam Shokha Moha. So what is the meaning? So this, in glorification of Srimad-Bhagavatam, it is said that simply if one gives oral reception to this Vedic literature, which is about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna Parama Purushe, three things happen. You get freedom from Shokha, that is lamentation. You get freedom from Bhaya, that is fear. And you get freedom from Moha, illusion. So today, in this beautiful section of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, which is the which is the Paramhamsa Samhita, which is the Amalam Puranam. Today we are discussing the section of Bhishma Dev, where Bhishma Dev is pacifying and encouraging is encouraging and pacifying the Pandavas. His Grace Kanai Thakur gave a very beautiful class yesterday where he explained, aho kashtam, aho anyayam, nyayam, yad yuyam dharma nandanaha. So Bhishma Dev is saying that you Pandavas had to suffer so much of kasht, so much of injustices were done against you. And now Bhishma Dev is remembering Mother Kunti. That not only you had to suffer greatly, but because of you, your mother Kunti Maharani also had to suffer so much because of the actions and the trials and tribulations that you underwent. She also being your mother, she had to undergo all of them also. So when I was reading this purport, the first thing that came to my mind is a very famous statement by Srila Prabhupada, which is quoted time and time again, every time, and which is very fondly remembered by the devotees. That is, one's greatness is estimated by one's ability to tolerate provoking situations. This beautiful statement is given in Krishna book. So many a times we, just like Mother Kunti, of course may not be to the extent the way Mother Kunti suffered, but we also face so many trials and tribulations in our life, is it not? So many reversals in our life. And when there comes a certain time when the ability to overcome them on our own accord becomes very difficult, then we have to adopt this quality of tolerance. Many a times people think, oh, you're tolerating the situation. Many a times people think this tolerance is a sign of petty weakness. But when devotees in the Srimad-Bhagavatam, they exemplify this quality, it is a sign of surrender. It is a sign of submissiveness to the will of the Lord. So this is a very, very great quality of tolerance, which Bhishma Dev is remembering Kunti Maharani in this particular section for all that she underwent, for all that she tolerated while being the mother of the five Pandavas. So any situation when we come across many situations in our life, or any situation in our life, normally there are two responses. First, we resent the situation. We either blame, moan, wail, we cry. Krishna, why did you do this to me? Am I the only person on this planet Earth whom you got to inflict such a tribulation? Couldn't you find someone else? We resent the situation, or punch our fists. Why did this happen? Many things. But we need to understand that that at this point of time, I'm in a certain situation, and the reality cannot be changed. And we see this in the Srimad-Bhagavatam. This example of Shringi. He is one person. When he came to know that Parikshit Maharaj had garlanded a snake on his father, so what did he do? He immediately cursed Parikshit Maharaj. He said, what do these kings think of himself? They are just like watchdogs. And how do these watchdogs dare enter the house and dine with their master on the same table? How could they even think of this? Lord Krishna has left this planet, and because the Supreme Lord has left, and all these upstarts have started flourishing. And from this day onwards, I pronounce a curse that from the 7th day from today, this wretched Parikshit, the wretched descendant of the Kuru dynasty, he will be bitten by a snake bird. So he was totally irrational. He came across, there was a situation in his life, but he did not know how to handle it maturely. So we see examples, from the Srimad-Bhagavatam, how, because he was in a situation, he resented the situation, but he himself felt so guilty afterwards. So we also see the example of Ashwatthama, and many such examples, of devotees who could not exhibit tolerance at the right time. They only resented the situation. That is why, yes, you are undergoing a problem. We have to acknowledge the fact, no problem. But, it is like, let's say the problem is like 20 units. It's a burden on your shoulders. But when you act in such a way that you resent the situation, you hate the situation, you cry, blame, moan, wail, you go in the BMW mode, then it is adding an extra weight of, let's say, 20 units on your shoulder. And it is only going to burden your shoulders, nothing else. So therefore, this is not the way. Rather, we should adopt the way the great souls have paved. They have paved the path as to how to overcome such situations in a very mature manner. Many a times, people think that tolerance is being passive. Okay, tolerate, don't do anything. Why do you need to react to the situation? Why do you need to respond to the situation? But does tolerance means that I be trampled upon like a wet cloth, rag, it's just thrown away in some corner like that? No, that is what is not tolerance. It is not basically being passive. But tolerance means the ability to keep small things small and focus on the big things. That is what is tolerance. Keep the small things small and focus on the larger picture. Focus on the bigger picture. That is why Srimad-Bhagavatam gives examples of such personalities. The Tiraskrita, Vipralabdha, Shapta, Shipta, Hata api, Na asya tat pratikurvanti, tad bhaktaha prabhavopihi. Srimad-Bhagavatam gives who are devotees. The pure devotees of the Lord are the ones who Tiraskrita. They are defamed. They are criticized. Like Vidura, he was insulted by Duryodhan. Oh, you get out of the palace. But what did Vidura do? He saw this adversity as an opportunity to rather closen his relationship with Krishna. He went on a tirth, on a pilgrimage, and he heard the Srimad-Bhagavatam from Maitreya Muni. So he took this as an opportunity, as a will of Krishna. Then we see Tiraskrita, Vipralabdha. Vipralabdha, the example that is given, Vipralabdha means cheated. He was, devotees being cheated. And what could be a perfect example other than Bali Maharaj? He knew that this is Lord Vishnu. His spiritual master Shukracharya even warned him that, this is Lord Vishnu. Be very careful. Do not accept the proposal given by, do not give him the 3 steps of land. You will lose everything. But still, he saw this. He rather rejected his guru, and he still went on to give the 3 steps of land. So even though he was cheated, but you see, he did not react. Rather, he responded in such a beautiful way. Then, Tiraskrita, Vipralabdha, Shapta, Shrap. He was cursed. Now, who was cursed? Chitraketu Maharaj, Parikshit Maharaj. But what was their response? Now, if you see Parikshit Maharaj, now as a Kshatriya, one could say that he was very, very passive. He did not react. As a Kshatriya, he did not respond. As a Kshatriya, he could have responded because that was his duty. Even the sages are saying, how could Parikshit Maharaj renounce his kingdom when everyone in the kingdom were dependent upon him? They were also expressing their great surprise. How can Parikshit Maharaj do this? And is he not acting passive here? But no. Small things small with the bigger picture in mind. He knew that this is the will of providence. This is the will of Krishna. And let me align myself with the will of Krishna. So, Tiraskrita, Vipralabdha, Shapta, Shiptaha. Disturbed. There were devotees who were disturbed. Just like Duryodhan, he sent Durvasa Muni to disturb the Pandavas. When they were in exile. But whom did they take shelter of? They took shelter of Krishna once again. Then Tiraskrita, Vipralabdha, Shapta, Shipta, Hata. Killed. Killed. Who was killed? Dadichi Muni. Dadichi Muni was killed. He was asked, Vishnu told that why don't you go and approach Dadichi Muni? Not Prabhu. Dadiji Muni of Srimad-Bhagavatam, why don't you give your bones for the making of the thunderbolt of Indra? And Dadiji Muni said, oh, if that is the wish of Lord Vishnu, then I will gladly give my bones. So if you see all these examples, there is a common thread in all these examples. And what is the common thread? That they were ready to tolerate all the situations that came in their life so that they could keep the big thing in picture. And what is the big thing in picture? To pleasing Krishna. Aligning themselves with the will of Krishna, with the desire of Krishna. So this is what is important. So therefore, this quality of tolerance has to be practiced in conjunction with a higher principle. Then all the small things that may happen to us, we can easily overcome them. But our goal needs to be fixed. That what is ultimately I want to achieve. Even if you see, so even in the Bhagavad Gita, there is this famous verse, right? Matra sparshastu kaunteya shita ushna sukha dukkada agama apayano anitya tam stitikshva sabharatah. Now you're saying, now Krishna here is saying, you have to do it. But then in the 11th chapter, 33rd verse of the Bhagavad Gita, he's saying, Tasma tvam uthishtal yashola basva jitva shatrum bhungshva raja samridam. Get up, arise and fight. What are you doing, Arjuna? At one point, the Bhagavad Gita he's saying tolerate, and another point, the Bhagavad Gita he's saying fight. It doesn't not seem to be a contradiction. Krishna never in the Bhagavad Gita tells that tolerate what all the atrocities have been done to you, against you by the Kauravas. But rather he encourages him. Remember all the things that have been done to you. The Kauravas are adharmic rulers. They brought your wife in the front of the Asat Sabha where she was being stripped. What is going on? At that point of time, Krishna never told to tolerate. Then one may ask, then what did he tell? Why did he say this was Matam Stitikshva Bharata? In the course of your duty, if you have to kill Bhishma, Drona, Kripacharya, all those relatives, tolerate the distress that comes associated with it and continue doing your duty. This is what you have to do. So it is very clear from this example that tolerance means not being passive. For Arjuna at this point of time, he was supposed to look at these events in his life as something small, not something which consumes his consciousness, it consumes his energy, and he forgets that for whom he is doing it. So that is why the whole Bhagavad Gita, and what was the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita? Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja, 18.66, where Krishna is saying that ultimately Arjuna was brought up to the platform that he no longer did his duty as an impetus because he was supposed to fight, but it was done as an impetus to please Krishna. So that is something very beautiful we learn, and this is what we understand. Tolerance means not being passive. It is means aligning yourself in conjunction with the higher principle, especially in the situation of a devotee, in the conjunction of pleasing Krishna, in trying to align yourself with the will of the Lord. So this is what we see, and we also see the example of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada also tolerated so many situations. Before that, Gauranga Prabhu, I just remembered, Gauranga Prabhu also talks about it. He talks about 3 levels of tolerance. Very beautifully he explains. So he says, first level of tolerance is, which we just discussed, Bhagavad Gita 2.14, Matra Sparshas tu Kaunteya, where, the physical pains and pleasures that come across, tolerate. Second level of tolerance is, is a beautiful prayer by Lord Brahma, where he says, I will patiently suffer all the misdeeds, all the reactions to the misdeeds that I have done in the past. That is a second level of tolerance, where, tatte nukampam susumikshamano bhunjane evatma kritim vipakam. So whatever has been done to me, I will patiently suffer. But the pinnacle of tolerance is exhibited by Mother Kunti, and that is what Bhishma Dev today is remembering. So fondly he's remembering Mother Kunti here. So he is so vipadaha shantutah shashvat tatra tatra jagat guru bhavato darshanam yat syat ab punar bhava darshanam. Where what is Mother Kunti saying? I want even all the more, I want more sufferings. Because why? She sees it in conjunction of the higher principle. Because if I get more suffering, then Krishna, I will get your darshan. I will get your darshan and I will no more get darshan of this material world. This apunar bhava darshanam. So this is what this is what, Kunti Maharani exemplifies in her life. Even, I was just remembering, there's Srila Prabodhanand Saraswati Thakur in his book called Vrindavan Mahatmya, he quotes a very beautiful verse. So he says, Sammanam kalayati ghora gharalam nicha apamanam sudha Shri Radha Murli Dharo Bhajasake Vrindavan Mahatyaja. So he says, Sammanam kalayati ghora gharalam. Sammanam means respect, kalayati means consider, ghora means gas, and gharala means poison. He said, you should consider respect as poison. You should consider anyone who comes and respects you, consider it to be a poison for your spiritual life. But he goes to one level higher. Nicha apamanam sudha. Aha. Whatever you hear, whatever criticism that you hear from others, even however lower person he may be, consider it to be nectar. Consider it to be sudha, nectar for you. And then only in this state of, when you accept this state, this mood, this attitude, this consciousness, Shri Radha Murli Dharo Bhaja Sakhe. Oh my dear friend, oh Sakhe, you can do Radha Krishna Bhajan then. And in last he says, Vrindavan Mahatyaja. Do not give up the land of Raja. Do not give up the land of Vrindavan. So he says, so Sammanam Kaliyati Goraga, Nicha Apamanam Sudha, consider it to be nectar. Even Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he says that you should want to keep such people close to you who criticize you. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, because in this world you will see, people, they will come and tell you, Prabhu, oh, so wonderful, you're so nice, you do such wonderful service, you play such wonderful mridang, you do such wonderful cooking, you have so much service attitude. So you'll find ways and means, devotees will come and will want to appreciate you. Of course, they will advance, but if we take that appreciation very, very seriously, then we have to think that we are in deep waters. So we have to be very, very careful. And therefore, Prabodhanand Saraswati Thakur is warning us. He is taking tolerate. So in this, what do we learn? Tolerate criticism and praise that comes. Even Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, Yaha sarvatra nabhisnas tattat prapya shubha shubham nabi nandanti na dveshti tasya pragya pratesthita. Yaha sarvatra nabhisnas, without affection, shubha ashubh, whatever good and evil, na abhinandanti, do not praise it, na dveshti, do not criticize it. And this is the symptom of a person who is firmly fixed in knowledge. So this is what we learn. Tolerate criticism and tolerate praise. That is why one poet, he says, sadhu nindaka mitra hamara. Whoever is, criticizes us, consider him to be our friend. So this is what. So you see, Kunti Maharani exhibiting the highest level of tolerance. And here also Prabodhanand Saraswati is saying that consider criticism to be nectar. That is also another very high level of tolerance that we need to exhibit and exemplify in our life. You see the example of Srila Prabhupada also. Srila Prabhupada also in his very own life, he lived by this principle of keeping the small things small and keeping the small things small and focusing on the bigger picture. When Srila Prabhupada, he came to the West, people did not know how to treat him. Young hippies, disciples did not know how to treat an Indian sannyasi. But Srila Prabhupada, he just simply tolerated it because he knew, I've come here on a mission of spreading Krishna consciousness to the world. To that extent, when he went to Sumita Morarji and told them, I want a passage to America on your Jaladuta. Sumita Morarji said that why are you going, Swamiji? You are an old man. If you want to speak Bhagavatam, you can come to my house and speak Bhagavatam. I will hear Srimad Bhagavatam from you every single day. But Srila Prabhupada was not interested in any ritualistic recitation of the Srimad Bhagavatam. But he wanted, it was a burning compassion within his heart that enabled him to go to the West. And he left the land of Vrindavan to give Vrindavan to others. His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj says this. So this was Prabhupada. Prabhupada did not say that, okay, this culture is so materialistic. Just condemn this culture and I just tolerate whatever is happening. But rather, Prabhupada was not passive here. But Prabhupada was active. Even at such an advanced age of 70, he was so active. And after being so active, whatever setbacks that came in his life, that is what he tolerated. There were so many setbacks. Padmapat Singhania, he refused. He first came initially, said that I'm ready to build a temple, but later on the deal did not go on well. And Padmapat Singhania, he refused the funds. He wrote a letter to Tirth Maharaj, please, release some funds, sanction some money. I am alone here. I need some funds here. Then he writes a letter to Sumita Murarji, please send a mridang. We have started some form of kirtan here and, mridang is required. But still there was no answer to that letter. There was also one brahmachari, Mangal Niloy brahmachari, where he came and told them that, I want to come and assist you in your mission of spreading Krishna consciousness in the West. But Prabhupada said that you should go and ask a spiritual master. Preaching in America is not my private business here. But my spiritual master will not allow me. No, you should go and ask your spiritual master. But then it did not turn out to be well. And then he writes a letter. Your attempt in America is a ludicrous one. Prabhupada tolerated it. How much did he tolerate Prabhupada? But again, small things small and kept the bigger picture in focus. The bigger picture of fulfilling the instructions of his spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So we see how our, Srila Prabhupada, exhibited such kind of tolerance. One disciple of Srila Prabhupada, he was hearing a lecture of Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was saying that, yes, this association is so wonderful. We chant, we dance. But this disciple said, but Prabhupada, sometimes it becomes very difficult to live in association. Prabhupada said one statement: tolerate the intolerable. Even if the association of devotees that you may be staying becomes difficult for you to tolerate, but understand this is the only way, the only means by which you can purify your heart. There is no any other way. If you have to go outside, in the outside, if you have to go in the outside world, you'll only get kicks. But understand this is the only place in the association of devotees where you can come, even if it becomes intolerable. So even if sometimes, devotees sometimes purify you sufficiently enough, but understand that this is the will of Krishna. And keep the small things small and look at the bigger picture. Of course, this should not be our criteria. We should sweeten our relationships with the fellow devotees we are staying with. But this was one beautiful pastime that I remembered. So, tolerance. So, okay, I have 10 more minutes. So, now how can we develop that tolerance? How can we develop that tolerance? That is very important. How can we understand and see it in conjunction with the higher principle of aligning ourselves with Krishna? Especially in this age of Kali Yuga, there are so many disturbances. Where, there will be provoking situations that we will come across. But then how do you react? So there is a very beautiful verse quoted by Rupa Goswami in Padyavali. He says, Aho bhir na kaler vidhuyate, sudha sudhara madhuram pade pade, dine dine chandana chandra shitalam, yasho yashoda tanayasya giyate. Padyavali. So Rupa Goswami, what is he saying? He says, Aho bhir na kaler vidhuyate. In this age of Kali, aho means aho bir means the people. Nakaler vidhuyate. If you do not want to be troubled by Kali Yuga, what should you do? Yasho yashoda tanayasya giyate. You should sing the glories of, the fame and the glory of the son of Mother Yashoda. Why? Why do you need to do that? Because sudha sudhara madhuram pade pade. It is so sweet. When you hear the torrential flood of the sweet nectar of Krishna Katha, then whatever the provoking situations, the trials and tribulations that come upon us, especially in this age of Kali Yuga, you can easily you can easily cross it. And Dine Dine Chandana Sheetalam, Chandana Sheetalam, and Krishna is as cool as that, Chandan, which can cool off all the distress that we face in our life. So this is how, when we immerse ourselves and absorb ourselves in Krishna Katha, then we can easily develop our tolerance muscles. Otherwise, if we give attention to small things in our life, so, oh, this is what has happened to me, this is the trial and tribulation that has been inflicted upon me, then so much energy will be consumed and we will not be able to progress in devotional life. So therefore, we need to, tolerate, and how can the tolerance be made easy? By coming and discussing Krishna Katha, hearing Krishna Katha, and absorbing yourself in Krishna Katha. That is what we need to do. So what else do we need to tolerate? Krishna also in the Bhagavad Gita says, Kama Krodha Udbhava Vegam Sa Yukta Sa Sukhi Nara. As the conditions, as conditioned living entity, Krishna is telling us that you need to tolerate the urges of lust and anger, which is inflicted upon us. Maybe go in the outside world, there are so many reasons to get tempted and to get allured. But Krishna is saying, Shaknoti Haiva Shodam Prak Sharira Vimokshanat. Till what point of time do you need to tolerate lust and anger? Prak Sharira Vimokshanat. Till the end of life. This is instruction given to us by Krishna. So many things we need to tolerate. So many things. So we need to tolerate the urge of lust and anger. But shouldn't there be certain things that we should be intolerant towards? What do you feel? We are talking about, okay, tolerate lust and anger, tolerate this and tolerate that. But there are some things also in spiritual life that we should be intolerant towards as devotees. And Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he has given 64 principles of devotional service, in which he says the first 20 principles are the essential principles, in which the 20th principle says that one should not want to hear the blasphemy of a devotee. We should be intolerant when we hear the blasphemy of a devotee. The scriptures say, if you hear such a blasphemy, then you should run away from that place, or either you should cut his tongue off. But we are not in a position to do that. So the best, if we cannot face that devotee and prove how this is wrong, then we better leave that place and go away. So therefore, we should be intolerant towards such situations. And now that is at our level we can do. But pure devotees of Krishna, what is intolerant for them? They cannot bear a moment of separation from Krishna. That is what is intolerant. And right now at this level, maybe it is very inconceivable to us, but this is our goal, our aspiration. Actually, Bilva Mangal Thakur, he was netrahin, and Krishna would hold his hand and he would get ecstatic symptoms. And Krishna and Bilva Mangal Thakur, he would say, Krishna, you're so restless. He writes a very beautiful poem. He says that, Krishna, even though you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you may be very, very strong. You hold my hand and you leave it, and then I become all the more restless. What is going on here? But you may be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no problem. But, and you show your power this way, I challenge you, Krishna. You try to leave my heart. I can guarantee you will not be able, you can leave my hand, but you cannot leave my heart. And Bilva Mangal Thakur, he very beautifully prays that it is a challenge to you. And this is how you see great acharyas, they tie Krishna with a rope of love, with a rope of love. So when these pure devotees of Krishna, when they feel desperate, oh, I have lost the form of Krishna, I have lost the vision of Krishna, they become, that separation from Krishna becomes so intolerable. And as a result, they consider themselves, oh, I'm so fallen. When we say we are fallen, we say it because we have done something which is wrong, and then we say we are fallen. We are actually very, very fallen. But when pure devotees of Krishna, when they say they are fallen, they feel fallen because for 1 second they have lost, they had vismriti of Krishna. They could not remember Krishna. So that is, so you see, this our standard and our standard of the acharyas are all the more very, very different. It's very different. You know, we we no, we think of Krishna, we remember, we are able to chant one day very nicely, and we feel, oh, I'm such a better devotee. But the pure devotees of Krishna, they are saying that, oh, look at what is my condition. No, I was not able to do Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. I was not able to remember Krishna. Yugayitam Nimeshena Chakshusha Pravrishayitam Shunyayitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahena Me. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is praying. He cannot tolerate the separation from Krishna. So this should be our mood and attitude. You know, this is what should be our goal. Even the gopis of Vrindavan are praying. Very beautiful verse. You know, in the 10th canto, the 31st chapter, it comes. I'll request you can repeat after me. So, Jayate te dikam Janmana vraja Janmana vraja Shrayata Indira Shashvadatrahi Dayita Drishyatam Dikshutavakas Tvaitritasavas Tvam Vichinvate. So the gopis of Vrindavan are praying, you know, Jayate te dikam janmana vrajaha. You know, your birth in this land of Vrindavan has made it so glorious. Shrayate Indira Shashvat Atrahi. And here also Mother Lakshmi resides here. And then what do they say? Dayita, oh beloved, Drishyatam Dikshu Tavakas. You know, we are Dayita, oh beloved one, Drishyatam. You know, may you be seen to our eyes. And then what they say after that? Tvai Drita Savas Tvam Vichanvate. Dayita, even Bilvamangal Thakur, I'm just remembering. He also prays, you know, he prays, He Deva, He Dayita, Bhuvaneka Bandhu, He Krishna, He Chapala, He Karuna Eka Sindhu. He Nata, He Ramana, He Nayana Abhiramam, Ha Kadanu Bhavatami Padam Drishorme. Oh my dear Lord, you please be visible to me. You know, Hey Deva, oh my dear Lord, oh Master, you know, oh beloved one. Again, the word Dayita comes here. So here in the same mood, the gopis of Vrindavan are praying. Oh Dayata, oh beloved one, we are finding for you. Tvam Vichinvate. We are searching after you. So in this same mood, the gopis of Vrindavan are praying. No, Bilvamangal Thakur also is praying here that we are, you know, please come, please be visible to me. Also this song, you know, Jagannatha Swami, Nayana Patagami, Bhavatume. Oh my dear Lord Jagannath, please be visible to me. So we see, so this should be our aspiration. So okay, we have 30 seconds left, so I'll just summarize. So in the beginning of this class, we saw how we need to practice this tolerance is not a petty weakness, but it is a very wonderful quality that we see that is exhibited by the pure devotees of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Tolerance does not mean being passive, but rather keeping the small things small and seeing the bigger picture. You know, this quality of tolerance has to be adopted and has to be practiced in conjunction with the higher principle of pleasing Krishna. We gave the example of Bhagavad Gita where Arjuna is acting passive, but he is fighting. But what he has been asked to tolerate the distress that comes associated with fighting and performing your dharma, of once again doing dharma samstha. So this is what you need to tolerate, and we saw the same principle of tolerance in the example in the life of Srila Prabhupada, how he practiced this principle It's not that he tolerated the materialistic culture, but he went, and whatever setbacks that were there in his life, he tolerated that to accomplish the mission of his spiritual master. We also saw the example of many, many devotees of Srimad-Bhagavatam through this particular verse of Tiraskrita Vipralabdha, where the common thread was that they tolerated the provoking situations in their life in conjunction with pleasing Krishna. We also saw that we need to tolerate criticism and praise, through the beautiful verse given by Prabodhanand Saraswati. And what is the thing that we should not tolerate? Especially at our level, we should be intolerant towards blasphemy of devotees. And what should be our aspiration? We should, like the pure devotees of Krishna, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Bilva Mangal Thakur, we should try to cultivate this mood that how can I live, in separation from Krishna. And then finally, this beautiful verse from the Shikshashtakam, Trinadapi Suni Chena, Tarorapi Sahishnuna, Amanina, Manadena, Kirtanya Sadahari. Where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is praying that if we exhibit this quality, if we remain humble like a blade of grass, exhibit this quality of tolerance like that of a tree, and give respect and expect respect from none, then only we'll be in a situation where we can do Kirtanya Sada Harihi. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Hari Bol.